What's up, print fam? Welcome back to the print shop. You saw that correctly. The title does not lie. I gave up $2,000 in profit on a job because I said no to it. And there were a few reasons I said no. Let's dive into it. Behind me here, we have my Konica Minolta production press or printer or whatever you want to deem the term. It prints paper and it does a fabulous job at it. The problem is right here at the end is my Booklet Finisher, and it's not very good at it. Basically what happens is we have the large capacity trays, meaning this is the paper. There's also a little bit of paper down here. This is the print engine, so this is where the drum is and the fuser and the toner, everything is in here. This is where the printing actually happens. So the paper comes from here or there, it feeds through here, and then this is all secondary stuff. So we have a decurling unit, we have the IQ, which does like front to back registration and color correction, make sure things are pretty, and then you have the finisher here. So if we open up the finisher, we can see a few fun trinkets. So like here, we've got the hole punch catcher. Somewhere in here, there's also a staple one. You can tell I use it so much. There's also, like, I don't even know. Oops. Like, there's the staple cartridge. Oh, here's the staple thing. So it has all the little extra, the little chunks that it clips off, saves in there. So basically what happens when I do like a left corner, this moves to the left corner, punches it, cuts it off, drops it in here. If I'm doing a saddle stitch, it'll go move over and then let it feed through. Now, there's a few problems with this. My printer is really only capable of doing like 10 sheets, so folded over it's 20 sheets. So it's not able to do a lot. And then from there, you need to be able to finish it. So in my case, you gotta chop the edges and then chop the front. Or if you're not doing a full bleed, chop the front. Or if you don't care if, like, I'm trying to think the best way to, I'll get a picture and show it. But basically when you have a book and you fold it over, the pages on the outside will be farther in than the pages on the inside. And so you'll have kind of a tiering. So to get that nice trim flush edge, you gotta guillotine it off. So I could do booklets, I could do a single face, or I think they call it a face trim, but there are better machines, better things to be able to do it. So for me, I don't do it. I don't do booklets in-house unless it's like a playbill for the local high school, or if it's a multi-page like funeral pamphlet, or like some churches want these like little tiny booklets that are, again, just a couple of pages, typically like 1 or 2 sheets. Now the other booklets you can do are more fancy, have more pages, if I can even open it. So this is done on 100-pound text. It's super nice, and I don't do these. I pay someone else to do these. So thank you, Trevor, for doing these for me. But it's a saddle stitch book, and Trevor has a machine that does it automatically. So he has a Konica, it's got a built-in finisher that it'll do the face trim right here to make sure the pages aren't like skewampas, and it will also do the edge trimming, so it'll cut both sides. There are also other ways that you can do it. You can do offline finishing. So sometimes if you've ever been into a print shop, you'll see like a tower. Basically, you can put 50 different trays or 50 different pieces of paper, and it will suck in each one. So that way, if you're doing a lot of booklets, rather than printing it all together, the machine finishing it all, basically you'll print page 1, page 2, page 3, you'll put it in this tower, it'll suck it through the tower, and again, sometimes those towers only have face trimming, and then you have to do the edge trimming, or maybe they only have edge trimming and you have to do the face trimming. So again, I don't do these, and that's why, because they're complicated. They require machines that I don't have, and it's too much work, it's too much thing, and I don't want to buy the equipment because I know other people already have it. So I'll give them the work, I'll be the salesman, I'll help with the artwork, I'll collect the payments, I'll do all that hard work, and I'll sub it out to someone else to do the rest of it. They make money, I make money, customer's happy. Outsourcing your work is a beautiful thing in this industry because it helps us help each other. Now, why I said no to $2,000 worth of profit. So the booklets, they wanted 1,000 booklets. Decent quantity. Let's see, they had 94 pages, full color throughout. They wanted a 100-pound cover, and then 100-pound text on the inside. Not bad. 1,000 books. So I quoted them $8,500. They came back a couple of days later and said, hey, we had someone else bid this for us, and it was $7,600. So about $1,000 less. The problem is they basically said, well, can you match this? Can you match this $7,600 price? I easily could have matched it. But here's the thing. If there was a problem with the job, or I guess I should say, if everything was rainbows and sunshine and everything worked great, I would have made $2,000. Simple enough. This is one of those perfect storms where it's like they do all the artwork and I'm just literally the vendor for them. I just fulfill it. So I wouldn't have had to do any artwork. I would have just basically collected the money and be done with it. Now the problem is, what if there was a problem? What if there was a mistake? What if I screwed up? What if my vendor screwed up? There's so many variables in here that it was like, if I mess up, I'll make $2,000. And I wasn't quoting my normal 100% markup, because that's what I recommend. Is if a job costs you $5,000 to produce, you should at least charge $1,000 or $5,000. You should at least charge $10,000 for the job. I looked at it and was like, oh man, I could make $2,000, and $2,000 is a lot of money. But if there's a mistake, if there's a problem, that $2,000 is all of a sudden going to cost me like $3,000 or $4,000 to fix, and it wasn't worth it to me. It wasn't worth that. I guess those odds. I'm not a gambler. I'm not in business to make things more difficult for me. Now, in the past, I totally would have done it. I would have been like, heck yeah, $2,000, woo, party. But I'm at a point in my business that I can't afford to make that kind of mistake. Like losing, and frankly, back then I was in a worse position. I shouldn't have. But back then it was more of like, holy cow, look at that money. Like, oh, awesome. And now I have a better mindset around it, at least in my opinion. And so it wasn't worth producing something when, if there was a problem, and don't get me wrong, most of the time, and especially at this point in my business, I find vendors that were willing to work with each other if there's a mistake, or say the vendor that produced it made a mistake, they'll fix their own mistake. Like if we get the book and there's streaking or issues, then they'll reprint it because it was their mistake. Especially in this case where it was like they provided the artwork, I'd still feel somewhat responsible, would still feel like I'd need to give them a discount to make it happen. And so that's where it just wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. And so the whole summary of this video is, when you're doing something, make sure you're pricing yourself appropriately, that you're not going to lose. Because if I would have been able to upcharge it my normal upcharge, there was a mistake and I would have just ended up at net zero. Technically, I'm still losing money because I lost out on time, opportunity, but I wouldn't have been out actual cash flow. And right now my business is suffering really bad because of cash flow. And I've got a video that I'm working on for that. And then I've also got a video on actually making these booklets, showing you the process going through making the booklets. I hope that helps give you a little bit of understanding of where I come from and why it's okay to say no to jobs. And maybe take a look at how you're pricing jobs, because you might be doing yourself a disservice. I had a customer this week that messaged me and said, hey, we need black and white prints. We went and called Kinko's, 40 cents a copy. We're going to provide the paper, black and white. And I was like, okay. I'm like, so you're giving me the paper. All you want me to do is print on it. One-sided. Like, yep. And internally I was like, holy cow. Most customers, I won't take their paper. This customer, I will. But my normal price is 7 cents. 7 cents for a single-sided copy is what I normally charge, including a basic white piece of paper. Kinko's charges 40 cents if they provided the paper. I hate my Konica. I love it, but I hate it. And I think that answers the question of why. Because it seems like I am severely underpriced. So look at your pricing, look at your process, and figure out, maybe you need to look at it and change a few things. Now, I'm not saying go out and call people and figure out what their prices are, because I am not a fan of that type of work. I'm a fan of cost plus, where it's figure out what your costs are, figure out what your profit should be, and then price it that way. But my profit is obviously wrong on my Konica because I don't like it.
and I then avoid selling it, and then it makes me sad. So, summary of the story: look at your pricing, don't say yes to things that you shouldn't, and say no. It's okay to say no. You don't have to say yes to everything. If you have questions, if you have a video request, leave it down in the comments. Any relevant links will be down there. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Print Man.